Looks innocent enough, doesn't it? Lots of young people play cornhole in the park. Seems like a good place to toss a bag around. But sometimes there are dangers involved that never meet the eye. So no matter where you meet a stranger, be careful if they're too friendly. One never knows when the conspiracy theorist is about. Let's take the case of Ronald Farber. Ronald played cornhole all afternoon, and he didn't feel like throwing bags alone, so he decided to ask another boy. He'd done it 100 times before. He didn't think anything was unusual when the boy struck up a friendly conversation. In fact, he seemed like a real nice guy. What Ronald didn't know was that Ralph was sick. A sickness that was not visible like swine flu, but no less dangerous and contagious. A sickness of the mind. You see, Ralph was a conspiracy theorist, a paranoid person with a desperate need to feel they have a special knowledge that somehow sets them apart from the masses. So no matter where you meet a stranger, be careful. If they are too open-minded, if they question the official versions of the facts, and if they don't trust the United States government. One never knows when the conspiracy theorist is about. He may appear normal.
My reaction to this announcement is it's a very positive thing. Fans are embracing it. We're getting great feedback. And after all, comic books are among one of the great American art forms, and art reflects life.
Well, I think it should be in the regular DC universe, not the Earth 2. I think it's kind of goofy. I mean, and the plus character from like the 40s, and now he's gay all of a sudden. It's like, well, you couldn't just make a new Green Lantern and make him gay?
The character is an iconic character going back 40, 50 years or so. In the history of the Green Lanterns, it's one of the idols of the Green Lantern Corps. And so I think it's going to touch a nerve with some people, but again, if you're a true fan and if you support diversity and you support different things, I think they'll be for it.
Well, welcome to the White House, everybody. We are glad all of you could join us today. I want to thank. Now, each June, since I took office, we've gathered to pay tribute to the generations of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender Americans who devoted their lives to our most basic ideals. Equality not just for some, but for all. Together we marked major milestones like the 40th anniversary of the Stonewall riots, when a group of brave citizens held their ground against brutal discrimination. Together we've honored courageous pioneers who decades ago came out and spoke out, who challenged unjust laws and destructive prejudices. Together we've stood resolute, unwavering in our commitment to advance this movement and to build a more perfect union. Now, I've said before that I would never counsel patience, that it wasn't right to tell you to be patient any more than it was right for others to tell women to be patient a century ago, or African Americans to be patient a half century ago. After decades of inaction and indifference, you have every reason and right to push loudly and forcefully for equality. But 3 years ago, I also promised you this. I said that even if it took more time than we would like, we would see progress, we would see success, we would see real and lasting change. And together, that's what we're witnessing. For every person who lost a loved one at the hand of hate, we ended a decade of delay and finally made the Matthew Shepard Act the land of the law. We've supported efforts in Congress to end the so-called Defense of Marriage Act. And as we wait for that law to be cast aside, we've stopped defending its constitutionality in the courts. put forward a strategy to promote and protect the rights of LGBT communities all over the world because, as Secretary Clinton said back in December, gay rights are human rights. And, of course, last year we finally put an end to Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Now, we know we've got more to do. Americans may feel more comfortable bringing their partners to the office barbecue, but we're still waiting for a fully inclusive Employment Non-Discrimination Act. Congress needs to pass that legislation so that no American is ever fired simply for being gay or transgender.
Hello, welcome back everyone to Global Government News. This is the third and final part for today, June 15th, 2012. My website is ggnonline.com and ddarko2012 and ddarko2013 on my YouTube channels. Please subscribe. And the links for all these articles will be in YouTube's video description. Just so you know, I'm not, bashing gays. I'm just saying that I'm getting sick of it being promoted everywhere. So I think there is an agenda to it. So if people want to do what they want to do behind closed doors, they can do it. That's fine. So I just put a disclaimer out there every once in a while. Developing nations boycott European Union for LGBT rights event. It says the Africa, Caribbean, Pacific group of states boycotted an European Union event Friday because it was due to discuss how to fight discrimination against gay rights. It says here that the event titled Discrimination Hampers Development. So this is coming from this quote, the EU Development Commissioner. So that commissioner that is going to bring about this development, and those damn pesky traditionalists that want to have it shoved down their throats are hampering this development. They're discriminatory, they're prejudiced, and they're evil bastards. So it says here, it is wrong not to talk about this, says this individual. We wanted to really get engaged with the ACP as a group, and it says here, but the group there are some issues. One issue is that it is taboo. So it says here that they're announcing Cashman and the UN rights chief announced a new 20 million euro package to help fight discrimination. So they're going to fight discrimination. And it says here, whether based on gender, sexual orientation, religion, belief, or race, the funds will be available for non-governmental organizations or civil society groups. And of course, these are all the same groups that are, pushing it. So, and it's going to come from taxpayer money. People that aren't even for this, right? They may not even be for state-sponsored abortions, and yet they're going to be funding it, which is just really a moral issue here. But it's totally swept aside. So. Then we have this article, Polish MEPs least gay-friendly in EU Parliament. So Polish members of European Parliament are by far the least gay-friendly in the House, followed by a counterpart from Latvia, Lithuania, and Italy. This is from the EUobserver.com, but Europe is still the best place to live for gay people. So it says here, porn and video games are ruining the next generation of American men, says a psychologist. He's claiming that today's young men are destined for failure because of porn, internet porn, and video games. They are failing in education and personal relationships. Now, I've mentioned this many times before about basically destroying a family, getting them in such an economic state that you get the woman outside the house, then she can't take care of the kids, homeschool them, whatever, and the kids are going into the state. The woman becomes liberalized and believes in all this crap, and then the husband's sitting there unemployed, and he's useless. He's a useless piece of crap eater. So this is just what I've seen, just from my own perception, maybe a warped sense of perception, but this is how I kind of see it. So I think this is being engineered, right? Research shows guys aren't interested in being husbands, fathers, or the head of the household. Now, many of them may want to do that. It's just that if they do that, they have to go through all of that crap that I just said, where they have to put their kids in a state indoctrination institutions and get all the eugenics carried out of them, right? And then they gotta fight the mind control with their wives. And this is, of course, I think it can go either way. So, but I'm just using this as an example because this is what we're talking about, the men and the fathers, is that they got to fight all that programming that's instilled in the women, right, who will be supporting all this eugenics and social programming and engineering. But fortunately, I know that not all women are like this because there's many GGN listeners. I don't know if it's most of them. I'd actually be interested to find out, but I think there's many of them that are females and they understand what I'm talking about here. So it says here, women are better than men. This is from Roger Ebert, Roger Ebert, May 13th, 2012. And I'm not going to go through this just for time's sake because I got a lot to get to still, but it goes on there and basically says that in terms of their lifelong natures, women are kinder, more empathetic, more generous, and the sooner more of them can take positions of power, the better our chances as a species. So then we have Girl Scouts program helps girls with mothers in prison. So it goes on and it says that the girls take an hour-long trip to Hilltop Prison in Gatesville so the troop members can visit their mothers behind bars. Check it out. Global Summit aims to reverse years of family planning neglect. So they're trying to reverse years of opposition or hindrance of development, right? Of family planning, i.e. eugenics for population reduction measures by these globalist Luciferians. So see, these globalists are going to meet to see how to pour cash into family planning, i.e. eugenics. Next up, we have late-term forced abortion sparks outrage. There's a video, you can go check it out, talking about a woman in northern China forced to have a late-term abortion has sparked outrage. It says here she violated the Chinese one-child policy when she fell pregnant with a second child. So this is the template, and it will come to the United States eventually down the road, either by force, right? By force, i.e. we're just so not free anymore as if we are, that they could just go ahead and do it, right, in China. Or they can corrupt our culture and do it enough to where people just voluntarily do it. So we have House rejects abortion ban based on sex of fetus. Congress said here that it rejected a controversial measure banning abortions based on the sex of the fetus, and we're getting into eugenics, of course. Scientists could soon screen unborn babies for 3,500 genetic disorders, raising fears of an increase in abortions. Using only blood and saliva samples, the technique maps the entire genetic code of the baby in the womb. But I'm not sure if it'll increase the number of abortions, because I believe they're on the edge of creating the technology to actually alter, remove those types of genes so they don't get it. So genetics, and of course you have to be part of the Uber class in order to pay for that. Genetic screening of unborn babies may be inaccurate, so after all that it's saying it will not be 100% accurate. Then we have Scottish toddlers to be tested to see if they will grow up to be drug addicts or criminals, or the good guys like police or politicians. So it says here that the health workers will have a questionnaire where parents will establish that their children are aggressive, bullying, spiteful, and if they lie or cheat. Sounds like politicians, right? And it says here toddlers will also be checked for poor grasp of language, which indicate problems such as attention deficit order, or like me, where you just didn't want to talk, right, until a certain age. Because I realized at a very young age, at the age of, 4 or 5, 6, that a lot of people are assholes. I don't want to have anything to do with them. And I didn't want to accept the programming. And then in Australia, the government's going to begin testing 3-year-olds children for mental illness, calling it Healthy Kids Check or Healthy Slaves Check. Make sure they're going to be good slaves. And then we have a study that sets the stage for pushing pre-diabetes drugs on the entire world. So those people that fit that profile in the last articles were what? They'll get drugs before they even show signs or symptoms. We also know the number of children with diabetes has jumped 14% between 2000 to 2008 because of sugar. Americans eat 35 pounds of stupidity-linked mercury high fructose corn syrup on average, which is why they try to change the name to corn sugar. High fructose corn syrup, FDA rejects the corn sugar as new name. Then toxins from genetically modified crops found in human blood, says a study, so it's GM crops. Then biotech leader Syngenta charged over covering up animal deaths in GMO corn, so again, toxic and deadly. Narcolepsy traced to specific vaccine batches. This is a swine flu vaccine, of course, from Sweden. Vaccination madness, anti-stress vaccine would create compliant populace. While in Africa, the scientists noted that the baboons at the bottom of the social order suffered great stress and lived shorter, less healthier lives. Sounds like what? They're growing up as drug addicts and criminals. So Pakistanis are blaming the CIA for fresh polio cases. And remember the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's role in the polio eradication in India. And they said what? That there was incidents of non-polio acute paralysis in areas where many doses of vaccines were used. And to all those mothers, CDC says fluoride has no evidence of benefit for infants. Get this, cops cheer for an NYPD officer charged in murder of a teen. And this was at the hearing. Then we have Montreal teacher suspended for showing a video to the students about a dismemberment murder where the hand and foot was mailed to schools. And lastly, we have children found blindfolded, bound at Kansas City Walmart, while police say Ohio boy reports dad stabbed and killed mom when the mother arrived at the apartment to pick up the couple's 2 children. Ah, good old family values. This is GGN and I'm Darko. Thank you.